Hey, this is Mike with another episode of the Halftime Mike podcast, and thrilled to be with you today and have a special guest with me. I am going to be interviewing and speaking with April Heavens-Woodcock from Touching Clients. April, how are you today?
I'm great, thanks. Thanks for having me, Mike. I'm really excited to be here.
Hey, glad to have you. And, as we've talked about before, you're kind of part of my experiment here as I'm also doing this live as a Google Hangout. So you were gracious enough to say, yeah, let's try it. And so, yeah, thanks for playing along with me as I test this out.
Oh, no problem. I'm excited because I love to try new things in technology. It always keeps it new and interesting, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. All right, so for our audience today, we want to talk about email marketing today, and email is not dead. I know for me, it's been one of the most important factors of mine in growing our online business with TabSite and my digital marketing side. April is very involved with email marketing, and she's going to be talking a little bit about that. We're going to go into some details, but let me give you just a little window on who she is, and I'll let her fill in some of the details then. Title is Chief Buzz Coordinator. All right, I love that title, by the way.
Thanks.
Of Touching Clients, marketing consulting firm, and she specializes in online branding. Certified Infusionsoft partner, accredited constant contact solution provider, and more. So you're in the New England area, and just give us a little bit, fill in some of those cracks then, April.
Sure. So I have actually been working with email marketing since about 2007. Started with Constant Contact, and really one of the biggest things that I find is, like you were saying, email's not dead. And even though social media and the online marketing evolves, one of our biggest concentrated efforts in sharing with small to medium-sized business owners is the value of email and what it can bring. So, and really one of the things that I love most about what I do is I get to talk to lots of different people from all over the world. So even though we work face-to-face in the New England area, we're based here in Connecticut, I get to talk with people like you, and we have clients all around the world that we get to service and really share the value of the email and social media and all the things that it can do to build your business and your brand.
Yes, awesome. And again, we're one of those cases of social media for business where we basically connected online, and I can't even really tell you how it happened. I know it was mostly Facebook based, but I know from my perspective that I saw your name and it was associated with Infusionsoft. Hey, she can help. She knows these things. She helps set things up with Infusionsoft, and so that's how I kind of started reaching out to you. We've talked email marketing. We've talked TabSite. You've helped me with some Infusionsoft things, but it's just another one of those cases where we actually haven't met in real life at this point in time yet, but
You will
we
soon,
do
though.
quite a bit of collaboration. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that I love about TabSite is there's so many opportunities to build your email list with the tool that you have. So,
Yeah.
definitely
All right. Well, let's dig in a little bit here because both of us coming from that perspective that email is not dead and it has a valuable place. Do you know what some of the current trends are in email marketing? Any stats or things that you want to share about that?
Believe it or not, email is still the #1 preferred communication choice by business to business and consumers. And if you think about it in the marketplace, when you walk into a retail location or if you sign up for a newsletter or a download, email is the first thing that people tend to give. So, in terms of stats, email is alive. It is the #1 choice. And it continues to grow. Although you see many platforms out there that are available from, you obviously hear the name brands, Constant Contact, MailChimp, BreakPoint, MMail, Infusionsoft. There's different types of tools that are that are good for different types of businesses. So in terms of statistics, they vary across platforms and the needs of business owners, but one of the biggest things that I stress more than anything above any marketing plans in terms of social media is to always start with email, because that is the point of contact into a person's inbox. Where we could wave all this wonderful Google Hangout and be gone tomorrow, you actually don't have those followers to contact. So email is still the #1 preferred choice of communication.
Yeah. Okay. Number one, and I always say if it's in the inbox, it has to be dealt with, and so it's a good place to get into that inbox.
Absolutely,
All right.
absolutely.
Now, getting in there is one thing, and obviously, though, the next components are making sure it's received well, and what are some of those keys as you think about email marketing and getting into the inbox, but getting attention amidst all the other emails in the inbox. What are some keys for email marketing that our audience should be aware of?
Sure. I think the number one thing to start with is the plan, because the plan is the foundation. So you want to think when it's going to go to the inbox, how often are you going to send your communications? That's going to make a difference, whether or not it's going to get opened. I'm making sure that you're communicating to your audience that, hey, guess what? I'm launching a newsletter campaign. Just don't all of a sudden have 5 years worth of email addresses. Now you're going to send an email and think that everybody's going to open it. You want to make sure that your audience is involved in that and that they know what's coming and what to expect. So communication goes with good customer service, number one, right? And
Yep.
then the other thing too is subject lines. Subject lines make a difference. You want to keep it short, 5 to 8 words. Stay away from too much punctuation. I know we all have great things and we always want to capitalize and be like, hey, open my email, but guess what? That's actually spammy almost, and people run away from that. And then be recognizable. A lot of times I'll see people, I'll get an email from someone and I might not know who it's from. It may have Gmail, it might have kevin1122@gmail.com, because it comes into everybody's inbox differently. So you want to make sure your brand is consistent. If you have a URL for your website, use that for your email address. Make sure if you are the person that's communicating on a regular basis, your name is who it's from. For example, if you have a sales team, maybe your sales team has different areas that they service clients to, have the email come from that sales representative so they know who it's from. Familiarity is a big piece too
Yeah.
of making sure it gets opened. And
Yeah.
then stay away from January newsletter. Boring, right?
Yes.
You want to make sure you have some good call to actions and compel people to open that email.
Right, right. Okay. So, and I think you're pointing to that, but I just read recently that your subject line basically needs to start with who it's from, and don't just start with your generic company, because it's definitely more personable, and there's a higher open rate if they see a person's name and then the company or something like that, even in that who it's from.
Absolutely, and I always encourage, like I do a lot of in-person trainings, and a lot of times I'm representing on behalf of Constant Contact. So they think I'm the Constant Contact girl or I'm the Infusionsoft girl, but really they may remember my name, but not my company name, or vice versa. So my email campaigns always are April Woodcock hyphen touching clients. But then obviously if you're a retail or a brand that can carry just your company name, that's a little bit different. But if you're really kind of all over meeting, networking, I would encourage you to use your name and company name.
Okay. All right. Now, so speaking about there's different types of email marketing as well. Then I mean there is kind of the informational one, and then there's also kind of the nurture campaigns. You want to dive into that a little bit and explain some of the differences there.
Sure. So email newsletter campaigns are definitely a little bit or a lot different than a nurture campaign. So for example, a newsletter campaign would be something where you're sending a regular communication. Typically it's monthly, sometimes it's bi-weekly, sometimes it's weekly, and it has information, value-added information, where it might be maybe you're including a blog post, but the key is shorter and specific. So maybe it's only a teaser to your blog, so you want to generate traffic back to your website. So those are monthly. A nurture campaign is really set up, so that's where like an Infusionsoft tool would come in, because they actually have what they call campaigns, and you can literally build a strategy that kind of automates the marketing process. So nurturing, so basically if I were launching a new product and you have like a great event coming up in September, Mike, where you're sending out and you have a virtual conference, so I would use a nurture campaign with that. And the nurture campaign, I might send an original newsletter and say, hey, we have this great virtual conference coming. But I also would build my nurture campaign based on the people that clicked on a link in that email, their behavior, and if they were interested, then I would set up other emails or sequences to follow to keep them engaged as long as they were interested. But the minute that audience stopped being interested, I would have them drop out of the campaign, so I'm not over communicating. So you're just staying in touch just enough to pique their curiosity, and obviously depending upon your end goal, if it's for conversion, that's where a nurture campaign would come in. And newsletters technically are a nurture campaign in and of itself, but just not necessarily labeled because it's top of mind awareness. So you are always nurturing your clients with a newsletter campaign.
Right.
It's different.
Yep. Okay. I recently was speaking with a company that is looking at doing some more with their kind of digital marketing, and one of the components I asked them about was their email marketing, and they're like, oh yeah, we do that. We send a newsletter every 2 months, and I stopped and I kind of slow. I said, now every 2 months, I said, oh well, yeah, and they kind of said, well, what do you think about that? I said, well, I think that doesn't even register on the planet then as something that is that they expect. 2 months. It's just that's forever in the online zone.
I agree. I think one of the big things is consistency. So because we wear many different hats in our business, depending upon where we are, if we're a solopreneur, or maybe we're a small business, or maybe we're even bigger where we have support staff, I always encourage you to at least start monthly at a minimum, and then build on that as you find that you have more things to share, more communications. And really the key is consistency. So set yourself up for success. Don't pick the 15th or the 30th of the month. Pick like the second Tuesday of the month. So you're never falling on a weekend. You're never falling on a Monday holiday or Christmas Day or whatever. The other thing too is that when you're using email marketing, the biggest advantage that you have is the analytics that comes with it. So all these service providers give you intel. They give you intel to how many has been sent, how many emails may have not made it there because it's been blocked, links within your email. But what it's also telling you too is times of day. So you may want to test lists as you're building your email frequency. But consistency is key. I mean, I have seen many clients where they'll start a campaign and something will happen, they'll fall off the bus for a month or two, they come back and they're like, well, hey, my open rate was 30% and now it's 15%. And it takes that time. People get used to it. We're creatures of habit, believe it or not. Even when we say we're flexible, we're creatures of habit.
Right.
But consistency is key. And kind of on that note, 18 to 25% is considered a good open rate.
Yeah.
So, I think, and unfortunately, it can be swayed a little bit either direction based on the devices that we're opening. We have PCs, Macs, tablets, iPhones, Droids. So 18 to 25% is a good open rate.
Yeah. All right. And I think that's something that people can don't think about, or they expect it to be higher or something like that. I mean, it's not going to be 50%. That there's a lot of information coming in, and so that 18 to 25% is something that's of value right there.
Well, and you think about it from a return on investment from like a direct mail campaign. I mean, direct mail campaigns I still think are viable in certain industries, but it's about a 1% less return. And unless we're asking the right questions or you're training your staff, a lot of times we can't even track the ROI on that. Where email, you have analytics to really look at that and review that. And it's one of those. Yeah, and I'm sorry. One of the things that I really try to encourage people is you have an A client, right? You're never late, you never miss your appointment. Make that A appointment once a month with your email analytics and any of your online analytics, because that really is insight for you to maybe you need to increase. Maybe your open rates are great, and maybe your audience is ready for you to send them another email on a regular basis. Or maybe you started monthly, you started upping your frequency, and guess what? Your open rates have plummeted. So you really want to make sure that you're monitoring that. And then above all, click-through rates. That's probably by far the most important analytic in an email campaign.
Okay. And let's talk about click-through rates just a little bit more as well. Is there trends on, say you want to make 3 main points in your email, and each one of those is going to have a link in it. So is it a good assumption to make that the most important one should be number 1 because there's going to be less percentage get down to the third point? What do you have to say about that?
Yeah, no, I agree. I always try to always put the most important thing at the top, and then whatever you can think about above the fold, above the fold on your computer screen. And because it's about 42% of people are, and that's a growing number, looking at email on mobile phones. So it needs to be they're going to see the first thing at the top. They kind of do the finger scroll, and I know everybody does it, right? You're working, and so top thing important. And then the other thing, too, is that you may find that those three things, no one ever clicks through to that bottom link. Guess what? It's time to take it out. Why waste that time? Just do one and two things in your email. So really watch those analytics. I had worked with somebody, gosh, about a few months back, and they were doing a recap on a weekly basis, and they had 5 different blog articles that they recapped every week. We looked at the analytics, and no one was ever getting to 4 and 5, so we took off 4 and 5, and now we're at 3. And even 3 is kind of questionable. So that's where that click-through rate and monitoring that is key. Plus the click-through rate, if you can, try to have it click through to your own website, because that's generating organic search engine traffic.
Yeah. Okay. Absolutely. Okay. And then to your other point about, even mobile and people scrolling, I mean, there's definitely, I mean, people are viewing email on their smartphones, that type of thing. And so does some of the keys that we would do in blog writing, I think, come into play there as well, where you need to make your content easily kind of viewable at a glance. And so even some highlighting things or bold points, or it can't be just a big block of text. Is that accurate?
Yeah, you really want to try to set up your email so you maybe have a main point, bullets work great. The other thing too is that not all, even though email service providers say they have these mobile templates, you really want to try to pick a single column email format. If you do need that, you want to go with two columns. Try to minimize the pictures. Obviously, you want your brand there for your logo. But believe it or not, 67% of the time, images don't even render in an email campaign. So you want to make
sure. What was that percentage?
67%. It's huge.
Wow.
Huge.
Wow.
Yeah. But that being said, you still want visual. You do,
Yep.
You want some visuals. So making sure that when you're setting up your email, look for single column email campaigns, bullets for easy readability, above the fold, and then if you are using images. And so, for example, if your logo has your text of your brand, your business name in there, always make sure that you're labeling your images accordingly, because if they don't render and you have some weird name or it's misspelled, people will see that. So you want to make sure that it's user-friendly to the receiving end if they don't see everything.
Yeah.
Because they really do see everything behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, that's a great tip there, because so they might not see the image, but then the image title should be descriptive enough that they understand still what the message is.
Right, and then it goes back to branding too, because you want to make sure your company's name there. So they've opened it, but that branding is consistency.
Yep.
It's consistent.
Okay. Diving back into email nurture campaigns, then let's because one of the things I am big about with TabSite and is growing your list, and then having some type of offer, free ebook or a coupon or whatever's relevant for your business as a way to help invite them, encourage them to get over the threshold to sign up for your email list. But then let's say we want to follow up. What are some key components to a email nurture campaign where we're trying to help somebody get to know us better towards making a purchase down the pike?
So building a nurture campaign is obviously that's twofold, because so someone comes, they see that you have this great ebook, maybe you did a Facebook ad to drive them to a tab on your Facebook page, or maybe they landed on your website in terms of search. So being able to nurture them is really, you need to build trust, right? So because people do business with who they know, like, and trust. So you want to make sure that your nurture campaign offers some personalization and some, like one of the things I know, we use video in a lot of our emails, so we'll send out a video that's really it's a rough kind of video. It's not highly polished or anything like that.
Okay.
Look for ways to personalize it so it has your voice in it. I encourage people not to send emails that don't represent your brand. One of the things is you always want to make sure that it's that there's some personal touch in that as you're nurturing them. So they know that when they get your email and they decide to call you and they contact you, that your email represents who you are as a business owner.
Yeah. Okay. So again, just we're past the day and age of that direct selly sell, and so there's that personalization, that human nature, human component that needs to be integrated within that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that one of the things, like in my office, a lot of times my husband is my business partner, and a lot of people don't even talk to him until they've worked with us. So they may talk to me, and then they're like, "Who's this Kevin guy?" So we try to incorporate certain things in our emails where he's involved in some of our videos, or he's posting a blog post, just so people have some kind of, oh yeah, that name's a little bit familiar. Although Woodcock's pretty unforgettable, I would say.
There you go. Yeah. All right, very good, very good. Yeah. Now, what about how many in a nurture campaign? What's some guideposts to talk about? Hey, yeah, this nurture campaign should have 4 emails in that series, or this one should definitely have 3 or 6, or any information there that's helpful.
Yeah, I think, honestly, Mike, I think it comes down to what your end goal is and your target audience, and each business is different. So it's something, so for example, we have a client that is a boat marina, and they have somebody, they get a ton of website traffic. So their sales come in through their website. They probably have 12 different forms, and based on how they come in, basically with an Infusionsoft, it actually will tag them a specific category and send them kind of down a sales funnel. And in the sales funnel, there's that nurture component. So the nurture component can involve a phone call, but then there's an email component where maybe they either bought, so now that they've purchased, we have it set up so it immediately says thank you for the purchase. They actually get a thank you card, and then the emails are timed based on that sale. So based on, for that business, it's milestones of before service is needed, regular maintenance, and that's kind of the guideline. So it could be 30 days, it could be 90 days, 6 months, a year, where someone that's trying to convert a sale now and working on nurturing, so like for example, you have your campaign, you have your virtual conference in September. So you really try to plan out 12 weeks in advance what that launch is going to look like and how often you should communicate with them. So my suggestion would be you send out your launch, you get people excited about it, and then based on that behavior, maybe you send out an email depending upon, so we said 12 weeks. So maybe it's 2 weeks later, then it's another, depending upon where that goes, maybe it's 10 days later. So I think I can't give you, and honestly I don't feel like I can give you, say, oh, this campaign, this is how many emails you need.
Sure.
Because I think it's based on how far out you are to a product launch and what your end goal is.
Yep. Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. But that's very good.
But one of the things I did want to just add to that, the benefit with having like a tool like Infusionsoft is because of the way the sequences are set up, you actually can monitor those open rates. So if you found out like, oh gosh, I'm seeing all these people drop out of this nurtures campaign, you can shut off the back end of that campaign and start to kind of retweak it a little bit and turn it back on. So you can kind of hold your contacts here and kind of play with it, which that isn't something you can do with just sending out a regular email. So that's one of the advantages of the nurture campaign too. So you can kind of tweak it as you go a little bit.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. And again, I mean that all just means that it's important to monitor it. I mean, and to take a look at those analytics and not just get in the habit of let's create it and let it go.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Now, as we kind of wind down here, I mean, one of the things, okay, we've been building a list now, and so we've got lists for customers, we've got lists for prospects, different areas, that type of thing. And what are some other uses? I mean, I'm kind of leaning towards that Facebook route. What are some other uses for that email list, that email addresses that we have?
So yep, absolutely. Facebook ads, you can definitely use that email list for targeted advertising on social media arenas, which is awesome. And the way that Facebook ads have changed, you can really customize and zone in on those emails. You can also, you have the ability if somebody opts out of your email list to actually go back and remarket to them within Facebook, because at some point they were interested in your product and service, and maybe they fell off because something changed, or maybe it was you over communicated to them. So maybe it's a different approach of getting them back into being interested in your brand again.
Yeah.
One of the things that you mentioned, and I don't think I mentioned, was you were saying like you have the different types of lists. You have your prospect list, you have your customer list, you have maybe you have a list that you were at a trade show and you collected through a contest or something. One of the biggest things, and I think one of the hardest things that online marketing kind of brings out in people, is always make sure that your email lists are permission-based, that you're collecting them and people know explicitly what they're joining into, because that'll make a difference in how your email is perceived from the end user. So if I didn't sign up for it, and I see this happen on LinkedIn all the time, you connect with somebody and then all of a sudden I'm getting these emails and I'm like, who's this person? We connected on LinkedIn and it might be a great relationship, but you've already turned me off because guess what? You spammed me. Right? So always make sure that you're getting explicit permission. And then the second thing to that is all those different lists, the advantages of having a prospecting list, a client list, is it comes down to target audience, and you talk to people differently. So if you were just calling and we were talking and I was learning about your business, I'm going to talk to you very differently than somebody who's already a client of mine where I know a lot of information about your business. So that's great intel in separating those lists and how to nurture those people in the emails that you send out to them, and kind of formulating that strategy and that plan.
Yeah, love that. I mean, that's just being smart, just paying attention to who your audience is, what they know about you, and writing to them accordingly then.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And and the other thing too is when you're sending emails, just watch the times of day that you send them. Try to be consistent on it. Even though we said time of day of the week, I see sometimes people will send emails at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And you wake up in the morning, and I'm on the East Coast, and I know we have all different, a lot of us have people on our email list all over the world, but at the same time, think about where it is in that time zone of how you're going to send it, because 3 o'clock in the morning, I know I wake up to Staples, like 10 Staples emails, right? Old Navy, all those things. So make sure
Right.
your timing is good on the time of your send too.
Yeah. And I think you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that even goes back to your consistency. Not only is perhaps a day of the week important, but people begin to expect it at that same time. So if it was kind of 11 a.m. on a Tuesday, then you need to be kind of consistent, that you're not you randomly doing it at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday, 3:30 on a Tuesday, that type of thing.
Right, and I mean, we're talking about analytics and all that stuff, but just remember that the value of an email campaign is really comes down to top of mind awareness. It's that kind of that perfect example is my husband loves to do our lawn. We don't have a landscaper, right? But I know that there's Hyde Park landscaping trucks all over my town because they have it branded on the side of their truck. It's the same thing with your email marketing. So don't get discouraged if you're finding, oh gosh, no one's responding yet, or I don't feel like I'm getting a return on my investment, because you are. And it's top of mind awareness. Even though you may not have a sale from it right away, if you're just starting, or if you've been doing email and you feel like you haven't been successful, kind of go back and create that plan and start over, because believe it or not, if you can kind of just tweak some things, I guarantee it will help move it forward and you will eventually get results from it.
Okay, excellent. So, in recapping, email, again, the number one tool. People are going to deal with it when it's in their inbox. So that's huge. And we'll recap these things in our halftime show notes here, and I'm going to include some links to you as well. But just some of your tips there on nurture campaigns, timing, those types of items. I think there's a lot in here. Now, and I'll include this in the link, so you can, if somebody's just listening to this, I'll make sure it's there. But if people want some more resourcing, do you have any resources that your company offers? If we come to a web page or something that you offer for that?
Sure. You can always go to our website, which is touchingclients.com, or our Facebook page. I actually have a checklist there for kind of things to pay attention to in your email campaign. There is a tab-by-tab site.
All right.
And my Facebook URL is facebook.com/touching clients. And please feel free to reach out. We also, I do lots of live webinars on getting started of different things and just walking you through. And there's always, a lot of times we do offer some 15-minute consults just to review what you're doing and see how we can help you and tweak it and get better results from your email.
Excellent, excellent. Very good. Thanks for being with me today, and April, and just the opportunity to connect on this. I know it's an area where I get questions, and I know I want to continue to improve on it. And just as you said, I mean, email is important, and so every company, every small business that's wanting to grow and improve in their online realm should be taking a look at what they're doing with their email marketing.
Absolutely, and I want, there's different providers out there, so don't get hung up on just one and really find the best tool for your business. So I have to ask you, halftime Mike, what is your favorite football team?
My favorite football team? Well, I'm in South Bend, Indiana area, and so I love college football, and I love going to watch Notre Dame, and I know that.
No, I like Notre Dame. Notre Dame's good. We're a huge Pats fan. Patriots, go Pats.
Yeah. All right, and we've been a little nemesis there as well, just because with the Colts and the Colts and Patriots went back and forth so many years, and always getting into that conference championship games against each other.
Absolutely, but you got Adam Vinatieri there.
That's right. We've done a little swapping here. We made some changes. Yeah, it's not quite the same since Peyton moved on. He's out there in Denver now. So there's a little difference between Patriots and Colts. It's not quite what it was, but yeah, it's still fun that way.
It is, absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. This was great and lots of fun, and I'm glad about the Google Hangout.
Yeah, I think, hey, we'll find out. We'll get some feedback, folks, on what you think. So you might be listening to this on iTunes via podcast, or you might be seeing it live via video. Give us some feedback here. We appreciate that. And April, you had mentioned, I appreciate you putting the plug in there for my online event in September, Doable Social Summit, where they can find out information about that. I'm going to have your links, Touching Clients. We'll have your Facebook page in there, facebook.com/touching clients, and they can learn that information. So thanks. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Take care. Thanks for having me.
You bet.
Bye-bye.